Well, the experience of climbing, first of all, the people that we climbed with, there were 11 of us total, and out of it, there were 7 of us who were fairway people.
Wow.
And those 7 fairway people, and of course Sam Silla, who I will count as a fairway person.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And there's so many stories that I can't even begin. There's not enough time. But it was an indelible experience that will live inside each one of us in so many different ways, in so many levels. But I will tell you, for me personally, the first day that we arrived at the very base camp was 8,400 feet, and I absolutely could not breathe. I could not catch my breath. And it was very discerning to me because nobody else was having the same symptoms that I was having. But I literally could not get my breath. I felt like there was an elephant sitting on my chest. So we set up our camp and got our tents all set up, and it was a huge effort just for me to set up my tent. And of course, Joe Thiessen and Nino and Ken came right to my rescue, helped me set my tent up, and I was really laboring. So now we've set up our packs to go up the mountain for a 5-mile hike just to get acclimated. And I couldn't take 10 steps, let alone 5 miles. So I put my pack on and I just said, you know what? I actually prayed and said, Lord, give me the strength. I know in you all things are possible. And I just started up the mountain. And I got to I felt like a 90-year-old man with a walker and a horn on the walker. That's how bad it was. I just could not. Every step was painful and a labor. And as I was walking, I stopped, and Nino looked me in the face. Nino Pascal from our Arizona office, who has been a good friend of mine since I joined Fairway, said to me, Steve, no matter what, this weekend, I will not leave your side. You understand me?
Wow.
So he took a total selfless act and literally stayed with me the whole weekend and did not stay true to his word. He did not. He put his whole experience and everything to the side for me to make sure that I could hit any goals that I could hit. So we start up the mountain together. And as I'm walking, I'm just saying to myself, I can't do this. I should just go back down to the parking lot and just call it a day. And look, some people just can't make it in altitude, and that's it. And I thought to myself, nope, not doing that. And I kept praying. And then it came to me, total vision of our Lord carrying his cross.
Oh, my.
And I knew if he could carry his cross, I could carry mine. And I just, every step, I said, Lord, I was not beaten. Lord, I was not scourged. Lord, I was not, my clothes weren't taken. Lord, I wasn't spit on. Nobody made fun of me. Nobody told me I was the king of the Jews. And if you could carry your cross, I can carry this pack to our destination. And I will carry this pack to this destination. And I just kept going, one step at a time. And all I could vision the whole time up is our Lord carrying his cross.
Wow.
I got to the point where we were going to stop and wait, and meet everybody. And I got there. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe I made it. It was 2.65 miles. And I made it with a 20-something pound pack on my back, straight up a mountain. And all I kept thinking of was the Lord carrying his cross. And then I made it back down. And I got in my tent that night, and I thought to myself, I prayed, and I said, thank you, Lord. It was your hand that pushed me up that mountain, and I know it. And I prayed so much and thanked him for Nino to be by my side. I bet a lot of you didn't expect it to be this powerful, but it was. And believe me, some of the other stories the other guys have are just as powerful.
Yeah.
So the next day we woke up and I said, how am I going to make it from here? Now I've got to go twice the distance to the base camp, which is 10,500 feet. How can I do that? It's going to be impossible. But I did feel a lot better by sleeping in the altitude. I wasn't laboring and breathing as much. And now I have to put on over a 50-something pound pack and climb up that mountain. And I said, the hand of God pushed me up there yesterday, and the hand of God will push me up there again. And I'm going. So I strapped my pack on, and the guys were just incredible. Ken Peterson comes over to me and goes, Steve, give me these like ice boots that we had to wear, crampons. Give me your crampons in your camp chair. He took that. Joe Thiessen comes over. Give me your tent. I'm taking that up. So those two things took 10 pounds off my pack. So it went from like a 55-pound pack to a 45-pound pack. And then I said, Nino, off we go. I hope you're going to be okay with the old man with the walker and the beeper, with the little horn on his walker. And he said, Steve, I told you yesterday. I'm going to tell you again. I'm going to tell you tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you Sunday. I'm not leaving your side no matter what. And I was just blown away by his friendship and how he behaved. What character. And up the mountain we go. Well, happy to say that I got to the rock, we call it Blue Jay Rock, where we stopped the first day with the pack, and I was like, wow, Lord, I made it. And I was feeling pretty good. I wasn't breathing hard. So I sat down on the rock, and all of a sudden, God has a way. God puts things in front of you that does certain things to you that makes things happen. Funny. I look down the mountain, and here's this old man coming up the hill, and he's shuffling. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, so I go, Nito, look at this guy. So we look down, and there's a young man behind him, and the young man has a pack on his back and a pack forward on his front. So he's carrying two packs. So they get up to our rock, and I said, hi. And they're like, hi. So I go, hey, do you mind if I ask, what's your relationship? He goes, oh, that's my son. And I thought, wow, the son is helping this father. I said, I have to ask you another personal question. I'm sorry. How old are you? And he looked at me and he smiled and he goes, a lot older than you are. And I started laughing, right? And then they just said goodbye and they kept walking. And I said, I said to them both, I said, sir, I said, what's your name? He said, Bob. I said, Bob, I just want you to know something. He said, what's that? I said, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Even though it's a 4-minute conversation, you just gave me the courage, the strength, and the motivation to get me to base camp. Thank you for that. And he's like, well, you're welcome. He goes, it's a nice day, isn't it? I said, it sure is. It's a great day to be alive. And I guess I should mention, of course, it's unspeakable beauty. The beauty, the views, and I hope all of you are going to be able to see some of the pictures I've been posting on Facebook. If you're not my friend, just go on my Facebook page. You'll see them. They're all over the place. Unspeakable beauty.
Wow. So
we start walking, and now we pass Bob, and Archie was the son's name. We pass them again, and we're hello, and we keep going. And, of course, I make it to base camp, no problem. Well, the guys was talking, and the guys were saying, well, we're going to go back, and we're going to get Steve. So they sent Sam and Dave, Sam's friend, back to carry my pack up. Well, as they're coming down to get me, which I wasn't going to take that anyway, because there's no way. It was nice enough for the guys to take the 10 pounds off my pack. And with that, the guy who was guiding us had overloaded his friend's pack, and his friend's pack was about 80 pounds. And he was a 54-year-old man, and he was in trouble. Well, Sam came down the mountain. Now remember, Sam went all the way up the mountain, came halfway back or more, picked up that 90-pound pack or whatever it was, 85 pounds, and carried it back up the mountain for Bob. That's the kind of guy Sam is, with one arm.
Wow.
And we got to the base camp, and it's 10,500 feet. Now it kicks in. I'm having a hard time breathing again. It's just labor to take breaths. It's unbelievable. I just didn't. I was gullible, naive, whatever. And so I thought to myself, wow, I made it to the base camp, 10,500 feet. So there's no shame in just giving up now. And I said, no, Lord, I'm not giving up. This is not as painful as your cross was, and I can do this, and I'm going to continue on. And the next day, and I'm giving you the Reader's Digest version, the next day we woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Of course, every night it was like 15 degrees, and it would swing to like 75 degrees during the day, so it was a wild environment. But once we got to base camp, the unspeakable beauty became unimaginable beauty. You just can't even believe. And I felt so blessed to be probably the 3% of the people on the planet that ever get to see that. It was just an absolute blessing. So then we get up and we start up the mountain again. And I felt much better by sleeping that night at 10,500 feet. I felt much better. I said my prayers, and I said, God, your hand was on my back the whole time. I felt it, and I know your hand will be on my back going up. And off Nino and I went, and one step in front of another, and I was much, much better the third day. And we get to this point where there's a ledge that was maybe 2 feet wide, and it was just pounded snow in a snowbank. And if you look to your left, just remember this path is 2 feet. No way two people could go past. You know, it's just you can only put 1 foot in front of another. And if I was to trip or anything, I would have fallen 6,000 feet to my death, without any doubt. And when I got to that point, I stopped, frozen in fear, and thought to myself, oh my God, I didn't sign up for this. So I had to make a decision. It was 25 feet, whether I go or not. And I said to Nino, this is serious. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I'll go first. I said, okay. So he went first, and he goes, okay, come on. And I'm thinking, yeah, easy enough for the skinny guy who's 180 pounds to say, come on. I'm 265 pounds. I don't know if the mountain's going to hold that. So I said a prayer, closed my eyes, took a deep breath, said a prayer, and said, I'm in your hands, Lord. And I just carefully went one step at a time, the 25 or 30 feet it was, and I made it across. And I was like, oh. So now we walk probably another 50 feet, and now there's another section, a little longer, same thing. So I suck it up, say my prayer, walk across, and we get to the other side. I grabbed Nino by his shoulder, and I spin him around. I said, Nino. He said, yeah. I said, I'm making an executive decision right now, right here, for myself. He goes, okay, what's that? I am not going to the top. He goes, okay, how come? I said, because I know if I go to the top and I have to come back across those two sections, Steve's 58-year-old, 265-pound body is with tired legs. There's a very good chance it will not make across that piece, and we have to come back that way. And I said, I'm not putting my family, my grandson, my children, the people at the branch in risk like that. This is much bigger than me, and I cannot, will not put those people in jeopardy, because it's all well and good for me to just say, yeah, keep going and whatever, but I have a responsibility to others at home, and I cannot put them in jeopardy. That's it, period. I'm not doing it. So he said, okay, I told you along the way, I'm staying with you no matter what, and that's it. So I said, we'll go to 12,000 feet, and that's where I'm stopping, and then we're turning around and we're going back. And he's like, okay, because I had already set goals in my mind. Every day I was setting goals, like what was going to be the next goal, what was going to be the next goal, and I didn't want to give up. You know, I really wanted to go all the way, but Sam Silla made it to the top. And Sam Silla came down and told me he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro only 6 months ago, and he told me, Steve, this was way harder than Mount Kilimanjaro ever was. Wow. The terrain was way more dangerous, and I'm really glad you stopped where you stopped, because that was smart. You made an intelligent assessment and a very good decision. And unfortunately, or fortunately, we had a bad guide. I'll tell you that right now. The guide was horrible. He didn't set us up for success, which really hurt us terribly, and put all of us in a lot of peril for a lot of reasons, which you know, we don't have enough time on this phone call to tell you about. But just to suffice, Mike Hardy and the guide were lost in the trails until almost 11 o'clock at night. Mm. And you know, Mike Hardy's an experienced climber, and so was the guide, and they were lost, just to give you an idea, okay, how serious it was and how dangerous it was. So Nino and I, again, God has his way of doing things that happen, and you're there in a particular moment making decisions for a particular reason. And lo and behold, I push us to keep going up, even though I knew we weren't going to go to the top, but I had set a goal to go to 12,000 feet. Well, we get to 11,800, because I'm wearing a GPS so I could tell how far we were going, you know, how far we were. That shows elevation. And we come across an older man, an Australian man, with his 11-year-old son. And his 11-year-old son was having severe altitude sickness. Severe altitude sickness can kill you if you don't have the right medicine, if you don't get down the mountain. Fortunately, our good friend Nino had the right medicine, and they didn't have enough water. We gave him water. We had a filter. We pumped the water for him. We gave him water and the medicine, and the little boy recovered enough for his dad to get him down the mountain and back to safety. And, you know, who knows? You know, I mean, you're talking miles and miles of nobody anywhere, you know, and boom, we come across these two people that need help. And Nino had the right stuff to help them. Talk about God being there with you and decisions being made, and maybe that's the reason why Nino and I were following up and why I wanted to push to 12,000. Well, I knew we were, you know, so we kept, after we got them all situated, we walked the rest of the way. We got to 12,002 feet. I made sure we went the extra 2 feet. And just to give you an idea, that last footage from just before we met the man, Nino and I were falling in snow up to our waists. And I think there's just one more thing I want to tell you, and then we can go back to the Bible study. There was a point where there's something called the chute, which is straight up and down almost, and we could see Tom Tucson, Ken Peterson, and Joe Thiessen going up, climbing up. And we heard Joe on the mountain. Joe was like, Joe Thiessen, hey guys, and he could hardly breathe, I'm falling into the snow up to my waist. What the heck? What am I doing? What do I do? You know, he was getting really frustrated, and you could tell it was unsurmountable human effort for him in that moment in his struggle to get to the top of this thing. And he fought and clawed his way, and Tom, Ken, and Joe made it to 13,500 feet, and that's where they stopped. And they knew they were putting themselves in jeopardy at that point, and they made a decision that that was as far as they were going. And it was just absolutely amazing to hear the human spirit. And Sam Silla sent out an email to each one of us just talking about how honored he was to climb with us, and that he had never seen a group of people work under complete trust of each other, and how we worked together as team, that he was truly moved by how we behaved with each other. There was no bickering, there was no fighting, there was no tension. It was just a great group of guys getting together on an adventure. And it was truly life-changing for each and every one of us in several ways. And as gripping as my tale might be, listening to me tell this right now, each one of them had their own stories. That's it. You know, Nino was always very special to me. From the day I joined Fairway, he was one of the first people that I encountered, and I knew there was something special about him. And I didn't realize just how special of a person he was until we got deeper into our relationship at Fairway. And then I started to realize this is a very special person. But the character that he showed on that mountain just was absolutely extraordinary, and you know, for somebody to be so selfless like that is just, I don't even know what to say about it. You know,
I couldn't help but think when you were telling the story, Steve. I mean, this is so powerful in that this is people when they are on the walk with the Lord. And they start out, and some people struggle with the walk, and others find it easier. Maybe they've been in the walk longer. Maybe they've climbed some mountains that, you know, that they got through. They had the experience of mountain climbing. And how many times do we not do what Nino said and said, you know what, it's not about me. It's not about how far I go up on the mountain to get close to God. It's about hanging with this person who is, you know, having some challenges and being there for them. How many more people could we reach for the Lord?
I will use that as a role model for the rest of my life. I promise you that. Mm-hmm. That selfless act will be a role model for me for the rest of my life. I think there's something else that I can share that is extremely powerful. And I want to read to you the email that Sam sent to all.
Wow.
Fairway teammates. And you have to excuse his grammar and whatever. He's not a writer.
I'm good with that. He and I are on the same page with that. We're good.
Fairway teammates, I am a believer that we all are a sum of your experiences. I always try to learn something new at every experience or challenge I attack. I learned a lot from our shared experience this weekend. I would first like to highlight how impressed with the team care factor you all have for one another. Trust was the next thing I noticed between the Fairway team. Trust is earned when your deeds are spoken louder than your words. The perfect example was all of you standing at the base of a 14,500-foot mountain. Trust gave you the courage to step in the arena together as one team with one heartbeat. I think that is powerful in today's world.
It is.
There are so many things I will take away from this experience. The one thing is lions hang with lions, and you all prove to be lions, summiting or not. Tom, Your calm, steadfast leadership and attention to detail was awesome. You're a leader for a reason. Nino and Steve, having each other's back, battle buddy style, proves you go to the movies with your friends and the battlefield with your teammates. Ken, you're an inspiration with your attack attitude. Both Dave and I are huge fans of yours. And his friend Dave was on the trip with us, Dave Gatz, who is, he's an Ironman triathlete. 52 years old, just had a hip replacement a year and a half ago, and he summoned it, just to give you an idea. Mike, Joe, and John, the glue that kept the team together. Most people knock at the door of opportunity when it comes to being a good teammate. Sometimes it opens. You Warriors kick that son of a in. I would go to battle with you any day.
Wow.
Dave and I don't do anything at a moderate pace. Joel, and this is Joel Burlingame, who's a loan officer in Mike Hardy's office. Joel, you are one tough SOB. Thank you for pushing us to the summit and for literally talking me off a ledge. You are a true warrior. Thank you all so much for having Dave and I be a part of the Fairway Mount Whitney expedition. It was a privilege. My only regret is that our expedition leader dropped the ball on setting you up for success on so many levels. Men, I will tell you, there was real potential for something bad to happen out there. Just so there are no secrets, I expressed my opinion in a not-so-nice email on that matter to the leader. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Keep attacking, Sam.